Hey everyone, and welcome back to Simply Scented Life. My name is Rachel, and I have a post-burn follow-up video for you guys today. A couple weeks ago now, I think, I shared a preview of just some Cold-Sniff impressions of the Kringle Candle Holiday Reserve fragrances that are coming out this week. I pre-ordered 3 of the 4 holiday reserves as an ambassador with them a few weeks back, and I promised you guys I would follow up again before the launch, which is happening tomorrow. So I'm filming this on Monday, October 27th. The launch is happening tomorrow, October 28th. It's Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And normally when I do a follow-up video like this, I would like it to just be 3 individualized reviews. But as you can see, I have run out of time, and I just don't think I'm going to be able to get through 3 videos today. So I figured I would just jump back on here. I have burned them all considerably, and I do have some thoughts, and we will just kind of talk about them one by one. And it will all be timestamped for you in the description. So if you are just kind of only interested in certain ones, feel free to jump around. But as for the launch itself, these are reserve fragrances, as I said. The 4th scent I did not purchase. That was Holiday Roast, and I will try to get that up on the screen for you guys here with the scent notes. For me, I'm just not a huge coffee scent fan of coffee scents, and it just wasn't on paper something that was really intriguing to me, so I decided to pass on it. So if this sounds like something that might be intriguing to you, definitely make sure you check out some other reviews on that one. I opted for the other 3, Enchanted Winter, Candy Cane Martini, and Jolly Gingerbread. And it's kind of hard to even put these in ranking, but I think we'll start with the one I'm probably least likely to repurchase, and the other 2 are really kind of could go either way. So yeah, for this launch, 22 ounces in these nice black jars. Higher end fragrance oils versus your standard Kringle line, and that's what makes them a little bit more specialty, but they're still made with 100% soy, white wax, and let's say 22 ounces up to 100 hours of burn time. And these do come in a price tag of $34, being specialty candles. And if you need a discount code, my affiliate code Simply Scented will get you 15% off. I do thank you if you choose to use it, because it is a commissioned code. Please only use it if you're comfortable with that. But if not, definitely make sure you check your rewards accounts. They updated their rewards accounts recently, and now I noticed right at checkout, there's like a little drop-down menu that will tell you how many points you have, and if you want to redeem them on your current order, like in your current cart. So check that out and see if you have anything that gives you a little bit better deal. I want to make sure you guys are getting the best deal that you can. I know these are expensive, and I know with the holidays right around the corner here, like the budget kind of gets eaten up fast. So make sure you're getting the best deal. And I will have all this information in the description of this video in case I missed anything. But yeah, I think because I have 3 to get through here, we'll just kind of jump right in. We will start with Enchanted Winter, which is probably the one that I'm least likely to repurchase, but I do like the fragrance. So taking a look at Enchanted Winter, I'll show you guys the label first. Really nice snow-covered tree. I like the little flurries in the background, kind of taking up that little bit of empty space, but a nice picture that I feel like does sort of fit this fragrance, in my opinion. Because this feels like a very sort of outdoors, like atmospheric sort of tree scent, if you will. I had said in my Cold-Sniff impressions that I don't feel like this comes across as a traditional classical Christmas tree type of scent, and I absolutely stand by that now after burning it. This definitely does not have that sort of traditional feeling to me. Of course, there is some subjectivity there based on what you consider to be a classic tree scent. We all have different ideas of that, but just like from like the mainstream perspective, this is nothing like Christmas to me from Kringle or Fresh Balsam or anything like that. This is kind of in its own lane and really unique in that usually, because I've tried a lot of tree scents, and I'm going to do a video talking about Kringle's different tree scents, but having tried a lot of tree scents, usually when I get a new one, if I smell it, I can kind of like relate it to something else in some way. Like there will be something about it that like, oh, like this piece of it smells familiar to that one, or, you know, some sort of comparable quality. This one, I don't feel like this reminds me of anything specifically. Like this kind of just is in its own lane. But it's very fresh. For notes here, we've got pine, fresh, green, cypress, gin, and woody. So kind of talking about these notes a little bit, there is a mix of greenery here. I feel like there were some burns that I was getting a little bit more pine, where the pine was dominating a little bit with like hints of cypress. There were other burns where I felt like the cypress was like bumped up just a little bit, but I would say overall probably more pine than cypress. And then that fresh green sort of quality here, that's where it kind of makes this one kind of unique, I feel like, because we got a couple things going on. There's a freshness. The greenness feels non-specific to me. It doesn't feel like grass. It just almost feels like foresty greens. So like picturing this tree kind of in the woods and the forest where there's a little bit of greenery around it. And then we also have this gin note, which on cold, it felt a little bit more like boozy gin type. Well, not boozy, but like an alcohol, like a true actual gin note. But when I got to burning it, it kind of transformed into more of the juniper berry, which I am not a gin person, but I know they use juniper berries in making gin. So that definitely like changed. I feel like going from cold to warm was that in the burn, this definitely has a juniper berry quality about it. And I would argue the juniper-ness comes out even a little bit more than those other elements at times, especially. But I feel like it brightens this fragrance up. I mean, when they give us a scent note like fresh, like that's very vague. That can mean a lot of things. It could be the freshness of the greenery that I'm getting. It could be that sort of brightness that I'm getting. It could also be the sort of coolness that I'm getting, because I am getting a cool tone to this fragrance. It does not feel like a warm tree scent. Definitely feels outdoors and cool. And it's not mentholated. It's not like a eucalyptus-y, you know, coolness that a lot of scents like this have, which I like that they didn't do that. I like that they did not put eucalyptus in this. I think it lets the other notes shine a little bit more, but it just still has that cool sort of elevation. This makes me feel like I'm outside for sure, kind of like in a foresty area. Maybe there's a little bit of a snowfall going on. But I don't know. It's just, it's really different. And the woodiness here, like, it's very background to me. Burning, it was not coming across as a heavily wooded tree scent. I get a lot more of wood notes from things like, what was it? Winter Wonder. I feel like I get a lot of woodsy tones with. There's some other ones I can't think of off the top of my head. But this was not like a heavily wooded candle. It's more focused on the greenery of the tree and that sort of foresty green quality and that juniper for sure. So if you like juniper scents, ironically, I feel like I get more juniper in this than I do in juniper and laurel. But it's unique. So I feel like this is probably most ideal for after Christmas, in my opinion, especially if you're somewhere where it snows and it's cold for a while. I can see really enjoying this myself, like on those snowy days, once the holidays are done and you still want something with that sort of woodsy outdoorsy feel, or tree outdoorsy feel, but not something that smells like Christmas trees. You're kind of over that. This is, like I said, very unique take on a tree scent. So all depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for something like that, definitely check out Enchanted Winter. On the flip side, if you're wanting something more traditional, this will probably disappoint you, in which case definitely leave a comment and I can point you in the direction of something you might like better. But that's my thoughts here on Enchanted Winter. I will add here that there is a pour date of July 16th, 2025. So this has had a good amount of time to sit a little bit before burning and into the performance piece. I think I missed that, the performance. This performed well. The first two burns, I will say, it was a little bit more subdued, somewhere in the 5, 6 maybe ballpark. But getting into the last, like, I think I burned this a total of maybe 5 to 6 times. And the last couple burns, it was rocking. It was much stronger. I would say something more in the 7, 8 range in terms of intensity. It was throwing itself around the room. From my open concept space in the living room where I had it going predominantly, I could smell it in the kitchen. I could smell it down the hall. I can get whiffs of it upstairs. So, I mean, throw wise, it was throwing pretty well. I would say 7, 8. So it was pretty strong. So definitely not disappointing in terms of strength. Not disappointed in terms of scent either. The only reason I feel like I probably wouldn't repurchase this one is because as somebody who tries a lot of different tree scents and has a ton of tree scents here, it takes something like really, really special to kind of make me want to rebuy it, because I'm always trying new ones. And every year I know there's going to be a new tree scent that I'm going to want to try. So there would have to be something really, really special to pull me in. And I like this, but I don't totally love it either. Like, it's not something I feel like I would be reaching for as much during the holidays. And I don't know. For me, I just feel like it's not something I need to back up, but I will burn this. I will enjoy it. I'm still glad I bought it because it is definitely different. And, you know, I just like trying all the tree scents. So those are my thoughts on Enchanted Winter. And I think next, I don't know. It's kind of a toss up here because I really like both of the next two, but I think we'll go with Candy Cane Martini. All right. So here's a look at Candy Cane Martini. Got our nice little vodka glass there. I like the tone of the red in this one in the background there. And this one, we've got scent notes of peppermint, peppermint sugar, vodka, vanilla, and citrus. This also has a pour date of July, I think it's a 6th. It's kind of blurry. July 16th, 2025. So I think these are all the same. Let me just check. Yeah, these are all the same for these three. So I'm glad these have had to sit, or a little time to sit. But Candy Cane Martini, I'd said, was my favorite on Cold-Sniff impressions, and I still love it burning. This one, I feel like, now I haven't watched reviews, but I have heard some comments that the general consensus is it's a nice peppermint, but there's no vodka. And I had said in my Cold-Sniff impressions, feels like a sort of elevated peppermint scent. Wasn't getting a lot of vodka on cold. We'll see how the burn goes. And I do feel like after burning, this is like, it's not a boozy scent, but there is a quality here that makes me think it's the vodka. So what I get the most is this peppermint. This is like a heavily mentholated type of nose clearing sort of peppermint. And it is powerful on cold. It was powerful burning. It's got a little bit of a sweetness in it, so it's not so sharp, which I like. That sweetness kind of smooths it out. To me, it does have the, like, that candy cane type of quality with that sweetness, giving it a slightly candied tone, but it's not heavily sweet either, if that makes sense. There is a little bit of that vanilla in there, I think, also kind of just kind of taking out a little bit of that harshness of the peppermint as well, but not like a heavy vanilla presence, just slight bit of creamy vanilla. The thing here with this one is, when it was burning, I felt like I was getting a lot of a sort of elevated candy cane type of scent, an elevated candy cane peppermint scent, like something a little bit more sophisticated than your Bath & Body Works crushed candy cane. You know, something just a little bit different and a little bit more, not fancy, but just, there's something here where I'm going, there's something I can't put my finger on, and it just feels like fancy. And I think that's the vodka, because honestly, if you said, you know, I smelled this candle, I walked into the room, I didn't know it was supposed to be a martini scent, I didn't know about any vodka note, I would say this smells like a peppermint candy cane, but there's something extra here that I can't quite put my finger on. There's something that's making this a little bit more unique, a little bit more special than just your typical straightforward basic candy cane scent. That, I think, is the way the vodka comes through in this, not as a heavy boozy note. I hope that makes sense. And really, like, that's kind of the way Kringle Reserve scents go. You either get a elevated version of something, or you get a more complex, conceptual version of something. So if you are looking for a heavy boozy note here, you know, them calling it Candy Cane Martini, no, I don't get it like a booziness from it, but I do feel like it's not totally inappropriate to name it this either, because there is something else there that makes it feel just a little bit more grown up, if you will, versus like your typical like playful childlike candy cane. But that's just my opinion. For comparisons, and I talked about this briefly in my first impressions video, we previously had Peppermint Pop from Kringle in the Reserve line. This was maybe 2 years ago. This one, this is the conceptual take. So elevated take, oops, backwards. Elevated take with Candy Cane Martini, conceptual take with Peppermint Pop. This was before they started putting the notes on. Let me just grab my little notebook here. Peppermint Pop, and I loved this one too. I'm a peppermint lover. It's just kind of like with trees. Like I want to try all the mints. I want to try all the trees. Just give me all of them. This one I bought and I enjoyed as well. I reviewed this on Instagram, but it's been a while. And I haven't burned it in a little while. But this has notes of fresh mint, sweet spice, fennel, verdant, alpine violet, snow gum, cool peppermint, and sweet nectar. So, I mean, just in the notes alone, you can tell this is a little bit more conceptual. This, I do still get a little bit of a candy cane peppermint like quality, but there's more to it. You get a little bit of that violet in there. You're getting a little bit of a greenery. You're just getting some hints of other things here that make it just a little bit more of a unique take on a peppermint. So depending what you're looking for, because I know some didn't like all that extra in this, and I get that. If you were looking for something more straightforward and you're a peppermint person, I definitely feel like you'll probably like Candy Cane Martini better. On the other side, if you were looking like you have a lot of peppermint in your collection and you're looking for something that makes this stand out as totally unique, you know, in that case, you might be a little bit disappointed. So really, again, going back to it's all up to your scent preferences. But I would say performance-wise, I have no concerns about this one whatsoever. It was quite strong on cold, quite strong on the burn. The strongest of all of 3 of these that I burned is by far, like we're talking like the 8-9 range in terms of intensity. You know, it's very similar in terms of throw. But the room it was burning in, like it was, you know, peppermint was going on. I mean, at times it did have a little bit of that sort of like that center of the, center of a York peppermint patty quality, like that. I don't know. It was just so good. But if you like peppermint, no burn issues either. Like this has been pretty flawless. This one I actually burned the least. I will tell you guys, I burned probably about somewhere between 15 to 20 hours on this one. And it was more so because of the fact I wanted to put the most of my time in Jolly Gingerbread, because I'll talk to you about that in a minute, why I did that. Enchanted Winter being a little bit more complex, and this being the most straightforward and the most, you know, consistent with the strength. Each burn had a good solid strength and throw right out the start. So I didn't really have as many concerns about this one. So I burned this one the least, but no problems so far. Just as always, keep an eye on your wicks, keep them trimmed. But yeah, if you're looking for a strong peppermint, you don't need any sort of fancy frills, and it doesn't bother you that there's not really a boozy quality here, definitely feel like Candy Cane Martini is worth a shot. And then we have got one more. Last but not least, we have got Jolly Gingerbread, and this one here with our little cookies on the label. I had said the only critique I have on this label, like I love the look of these cookies, but I don't love all that empty space here. And I'm just going to show you, we're going to talk about this one here again in a minute, but like look how nice this looks, kind of a filled in label with the lights in the background. Like this is just a little bit, I don't know, a little bit dark for my liking. Like this label is probably one of my all-time favorites. I love this gingerbread and frosting. Oh my gosh. Just love this one. But yeah, so that's like my only real critique here as far as packaging goes. But with Jolly Gingerbread here, we've got notes of baked gingerbread accord, creamy butter, cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, ginger, sweet light cream, and vanilla bean. And this one also has a pour date of July 16th, 2025. And oh, some of these like jars, like these lids get on there tight. I'm always afraid I'm going to break the glass pulling it off. This one, I had said that this was probably a little bit spicier than I would have liked on cold. And honestly, burning this one is so much better to me. I was really surprised how much I've ended up enjoying this one. I've burned this for about 30 hours or so, maybe even a little bit more. I don't know if you can kind of see there. I also did a couple longer burns on this one, and it's just done really well. This scent, I feel like, is sort of Kringle's most authentic take yet that I have tried on a gingerbread. There were two others that we will kind of compare a little bit in a minute. Gingerbread tiramisu and the gingerbread frosting that I showed you. Kringle also used to have a gingerbread candle. I feel like I've seen the label. It was a little bit prior to my time, like discovering Kringle, that this scent was out, and I never got around to trying it, but I think it was just called gingerbread. There was like a little gingerbread house on the label. So I never tried that one, so I don't know, like, I can't compare it to that one if you're like one of the OG Kringle people around here, but just in comparison to like some of their more recent takes here on gingerbread, there was another one, it was like gingerbread latte, I think, in the country line. This is definitely the most authentic version of gingerbread that I have tried from them. So if that was your sort of complaint with some of the other ones, I think you'll like this one much better. I get a gingerbread cookie here. It's not heavily frosted. There is a little bit of a sweetness to it, but this is like traditional gingerbread spices here. I get a little bit of the cinnamon. I get some of that clove. Not as much nutmeg, but I do feel like, you know, it's in the mix because there's always like a blend of gingerbread spices, right? This just feels appropriate to a typical blend of gingerbread spices. I do get that ginger. It's not very sharp ginger, and the thing here with this one, well, there's a couple things. There's not really like a heavy sort of molasses tone to this gingerbread. I feel like some gingerbread scents have like a heavy molasses note in there or something a little bit more sweet and syrupy. This doesn't have that for me. This just is more cookie. This is like your baked cookie, maybe a slightly crunchy cookie, not like a super soft cookie, not a burnt cookie, but just a little bit more crunchy gingerbread cookie, kind of in keeping with these cookies, except we're not dealing with a heavy level of frosting in this. There is a little bit of a sweetness, a little bit of a buttery creaminess that I feel like comes out a lot more on the burn versus on Cold-Sniff. But it's still, it's not like a heavily sweet scent where you're thinking like this is like a cookie slathered in frosting. But this is just, it's like a traditional gingerbread cookie. And the thing to take away from this one, I feel like, is when this was going, this gave my kitchen area like that feeling of something baking in the oven, like gingerbread cookies that are baking in the oven before they've been frosted. And, you know, if you're looking for that sort of cozy, homey, Christmas baking feeling, I feel like this is actually really nice. And I didn't think this was going to end up being my favorite of them, but this is definitely now, having burned it, my favorite of the gingerbread ones that I have tried, the most authentic. But like even the spices that I was getting a little bit more heavily on cold, they toned down a little bit, and it's still spicy because it is a gingerbread, and gingerbread in itself is spicy, but like it's just, it's not overwhelmingly spicy. It's not harsh spices. It's just that really nice something baking in the oven sort of feeling with this one. And I think this will be an excellent blender scent for the holidays. So I'm somebody, when I'm burning holiday scents, when I'm not reviewing, I like to have something going in multiple areas because the season is so short and I have so many scents I want to get to. Usually I'll have something like this going maybe in my kitchen and then pair it up with maybe a tree scent, like a classic Christmas tree scent. I think that would work really well. I think this will pair up really nicely with sugar cookie scents. So if you're looking for a little bit more of that like vanilla piece, like maybe you're wanting a little bit more frosting, which, I mean, that's like the only thing I could kind of critique here is like, I wish there was maybe a little bit more frosting, but then at the same time, I like it for what it is. So it's hard to say, but I think this would pair really nicely with a like more traditional cookie scent, like a sugar cookie scent. But I mean, it's pretty versatile. I don't know. This one just really won me over in the burn, and I'm really glad to say that. because I was really kind of nervous with that spiciness on cold. And performance wise, it was pretty good too. I would say not quite as strong as the other two, but still holding its own. I would say somewhere in like the 6 to 7 ballpark, depending. I didn't use a hurricane with this or any of them. I should have said that before, but no hurricanes. So maybe if you were to put it in a hurricane, you'd get a little bit more out of it. But you know, for what it is, I liked it. It was kind of just right. Definitely like having that sort of something, cookies baking in the oven sort of feeling. And you know, for me, it was just right. This one did burn a little bit slightly hotter than the others, not like flamethrowers or anything like that. But this one I did want to make sure that I was trimming, because I noticed if I let it go a little bit longer, I would, you know, see the carbon balls starting to form a little bit on the ends of the wicks. But like nothing crazy in it. It doesn't seem to be like sooting heavily. I'll just kind of rub my finger on here. I mean, just slight, really just slight. So nothing crazy with the burn. If you're keeping an eye on your wicks and watching your burns, I don't think you'll have any issues. At least not in my experience. The reason I said before, there was a reason I gave this one a little bit more burn time, was because with a spicy scent like this, I know like a lot of these tend to get like that sort of burnt, scorchy smell. And on cold, I almost felt like there was a little bit of like that crispness to the cookie that was kind of like hinting at maybe that this could go sort of burnt smelling if I wasn't careful. And I'm really happy to say, guys, I gave this 2 longer burns to kind of like push the limits a little bit and see if I could even draw it out, if it would take on that sort of burnt, scorchy tone. And I had this going like almost all day on Saturday. And not once did I feel like there was something burning in the oven. It was just something baking in the oven. So I can't promise you'll have the same experience, but for me, like, I'm really happy with that. Definitely, definitely none of that sort of scorchy quality like I got with Kringle Cupcake. Nothing like that. This was staying nice, sweet cookie with that little bit of a buttery quality to it. Just really nice. So if you're looking for something like that, this one, and then I was also asked with this one to kind of compare it a little bit to the other gingerbread scents. So I did 2 comparison burns with Jolly Gingerbread and Gingerbread Tiramisu from the Country line last year. And like this one, I think a lot of people were getting that sort of scorchy tone with this one, and I haven't burned this one in a while. I really liked this one when I reviewed it, but I think like this has spice, pastry, coffee bean, brown sugar, spice, and butter. I think that coffee bean note gives it like that slight bit of bitterness, and I think that's where that tone is coming from here, more so than the spices themselves. I mean, it has butter in it as well, and sometimes that will do it, but I feel like it's just that slight bitterness from the coffee bean. But I know a lot of people felt like this wasn't really like traditional gingerbread, and I don't think it was ever meant to be a traditional gingerbread. I mean, they called it gingerbread tiramisu. So for me, that tells me it's going to be a little bit different, but not everyone liked that. But I feel like this actually made a nice pair with Jolly Gingerbread burning together. Especially if you maybe have this in your stash and you're not totally loving it and you're looking for something to kind of make it a little bit more more gingerbread-like. This is a nice pair because it definitely brings more of that feeling to it. I mean, I liked this one, but I will say now, having burned Jolly Gingerbread, I like Jolly Gingerbread better. The other one here, this was gingerbread and frosting, and this one, oh, sorry. This one has notes of pastry, vanilla, spice, sweet, berry, and cream. This one, I burned this one side by side, and I will say I really liked the combination of this with Jolly Gingerbread. That was a really nice pair, because my issue with this one is that berry note. And like with this label here and the frosting here, I was kind of expecting the berry note to be a little bit more background. I don't know, because sometimes when you see a note on paper, it doesn't really like make itself heavily known. But for me, this was making it, the berry was making itself more known than I would have liked, and kind of taking away that traditional gingerbread feeling. And it can be a little bit sour at points as well, that berry note being just slightly tart. So I don't hate this scent, and honestly, having let this sit now, this was from last year's reserve line, just letting that initial disappointment of it not being what I wanted it to be wear off, and kind of revisiting it now, I feel like I enjoy it a lot better. I also enjoy this one better burning than on cold, just like Jolly Gingerbread. So for me, I don't know. It's okay, but I like Jolly Gingerbread better. But again, this pairing was pretty darn good, because it kind of helped drown out that berry note just a little bit, if you will. Like this kind of helped balance it out a little bit better. So again, if you have this in your collection, and guys, I bought 2 of this one thinking I was gonna love it, and this is being such a beautiful label, I bought 2. I should have bought 2 of this one. I didn't do that. So I wish I could swap them out, but you know what? Live and learn. But yeah. Again, if you didn't like that tone with gingerbread and frosting, I do think you'll like Jolly Gingerbread better. But I think that's about it. I know, like, if I were to repurchase any, I'm torn, because I could easily say I would repurchase both Jolly Gingerbread and Candy Cane Martini. But just knowing that, like, I have to kind of spread my budget around a little bit more, I feel like I'm going to try not to repurchase either of them. But like, if money were no object, I would definitely get a backup of both of those too. So I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt. Like, I'm tempted. But, you know, on the flip side, if you're maybe trying to make yourself feel better if you're going to be skipping this launch, or, you know, it's not really in the budget for you right now. That being said, even though I think this is a really nice take on a gingerbread scent, there are still a million gingerbread scents out there. There's so many good ones. It's not something wildly unique. It's just a well done take on a gingerbread. So you're not necessarily missing anything super unique or special. You know, if that makes you feel any better, I feel like every company has some version of gingerbread. I'm sure you can find something within your budget that you will like. And yeah, I mean, that's all I can really say on it. I'm so torn if I want to get another one or not. But again, you know, you have to watch those budgets, especially this time of year. So I get it. But yeah, I always try to give you some pros and cons if I can, at least if something comes to my mind. But the same thing with the peppermint. Like, if you want something special, you know, it's not super unique, but if you really, you know, want to go with the peppermint, it's a really good take on it. So I don't know. Hopefully that helps you make some decisions. You know, either way. But like I say, there's a million peppermints out there as well. I don't know, guys. Take that, use it however you can. Again, I'm sorry this is all one big video. I really wish I could have given each one of them their own individual, like, dressed up reviews. I just ran out of time. So I'm glad I'm getting this out to you in time at the very least. But thank you guys for watching. This might be my only video this week. I don't know, maybe one more. It is a crazy week. I've got little kids. I got Halloween parties and all the things. So I'm really trying to, you know, squeeze in everything where I can. But this might be a light week for content. But thank you guys again for watching today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to my channel for everything I have coming up in the future. And I think that's about it. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.